Some people don't attack you directly. They don't raise their voice, they don't say anything obviously cruel, but somehow, after spending time with them, you walk away feeling less than you did before. Smaller, quieter, less confident. That's not an accident. There are people who do this intentionally. And the reason it's so hard to deal with is because it's subtle enough that you start questioning whether it's even happening. Watch this till the end, because the last one is the most damaging and the hardest to recognize. Let's get into it. Number 1, they dismiss what you say. You share something, an opinion, an idea, something that matters to you, and they brush past it like it wasn't said. No response, no acknowledgement, just silence and a subject change. Like the words never left your mouth. You try again another time, and the same thing happens. They look away, they change the topic, they give a one-word response, and move on. What makes this so effective is that nothing was said directly. There was no insult, no argument, just consistent indifference to your voice. And because you can't point to a specific moment of cruelty, you start doubting yourself instead of doubting them. Maybe you're not expressing yourself clearly. Maybe your timing is off. They never said any of that, but their behavior said it loud enough that you heard it anyway. Over time, you find yourself filtering what you share, holding back thoughts you would have expressed freely before. Not because you've run out of things to say, but because you've been quietly taught that saying them isn't worth the effort. And that's exactly the outcome they were creating. Number 2, they compare you to others, always unfavorably. Never directly insulting, just observing, just pointing out that someone else handled something better, that most people in your position have already done more, that someone like you should probably be further along by now. Every comparison positions you as the one falling short, the one who hasn't quite measured up. What makes this so damaging is the accumulation. One comparison feels like an observation. 10 comparisons reveal a pattern. They're measuring you against a standard you can never reach because the standard always shifts. When you get close to one benchmark, there's another person they reference who does it better. What's particularly calculated about this is that they always choose someone who highlights your specific weakness, a name or a situation that lands exactly where you're most insecure. And the more it happens, the more you start to internalize the gap they keep pointing at, until you're doing the comparing yourself without needing them to do it for you. Number 3, they give backhanded compliments. On the surface, it sounds positive. You look great for your age. That's impressive considering your background. I'm actually surprised you pulled that off. Each one starts as a compliment and ends with a condition, a quiet suggestion that your achievement came with an asterisk, that your success is surprising, that the bar for you is set lower than it is for everyone else. The reason this works so well is that it's hard to call out. They said something nice. What are you going to do? Complain about a compliment? That's exactly what they're counting on. You walk away unsure whether to feel good or bad, and that confusion slowly teaches you not to trust your own wins. The worst part is you often can't respond without looking oversensitive, so you smile and say thank you while absorbing something that was never really a kindness at all. It stays with you longer than a direct insult would because you can never fully decide how to feel about it. Number 4. They interrupt and talk over you. Not once, not occasionally, consistently. Every time you start to speak, they cut in. Every time you're mid-thought, their voice takes over. When you try to get back to what you were saying, the moment has passed. Your words get finished for you in the wrong direction, and it keeps happening so regularly that a pattern becomes impossible to ignore. What this does over time is condition you to be silent. You start hesitating before you speak because you've learned your sentences won't finish. You stop sharing because the effort of fighting for space in a conversation with them isn't worth it. And they never had to tell you to be quiet. They just made speaking feel pointless until you stopped doing it on your own. There's also something particularly dismissive about the way they redirect your point before they even know where it was going. And if you call it out, they look genuinely confused, which somehow makes it worse. Number 5. They bring up your past mistakes in present conversations. Things are going well. You've grown. You've moved past something difficult, and then they mention it, casually, almost as a side note. Remember when you tried that and it didn't work out? They pull up a failure you've already processed and place it right in the middle of your present moment. And suddenly, you're not the person you've become, you're the person you were when things went wrong. The damage here is that it keeps you anchored to your lowest points. Every new chapter gets footnoted with old failures, and because the mistake was real, you can't argue against it. You just have to absorb it. What's most frustrating is that they never bring up your past wins with the same energy. The failures get remembered in detail. The successes get forgotten quickly. And that selective memory isn't accidental. It's a way of keeping you in a box that's smaller than the one you've actually grown out of. Every time you start to move forward, they find a way to pull you back to a version of yourself that no longer exists. Number 6, they minimize your achievements. You share something you're proud of, something that took effort, and the response deflates it. Oh, that's not that hard. Anyone could do that. Must have been nice to have the right people helping you. They find a way to make the thing smaller, to suggest the credit doesn't fully belong to you, that the bar wasn't really that high to begin with. After this happens enough times, you stop sharing your wins. Not because they stopped happening, but because sharing them hurts more than the joy of the achievement itself. And they never had to take anything from you directly. They just made you feel like what you had wasn't worth celebrating until you started believing it yourself. The impact goes deeper than just one achievement. You start downplaying things preemptively, saying, "It's nothing really," before anyone else gets the chance to say it first. They turned their response into your reflex. And what makes it worse is that you don't even notice it happening until the habit is already formed. Number 7, they question everything you do. Not loudly, not aggressively, just with enough consistent doubt to make you second-guess yourself before you even begin. Are you sure about that? Did you really think this through? That seems risky for someone in your position. Every decision gets examined. Every plan gets met with hesitation before you've even taken the first step. What makes this particularly damaging is how it gets inside your head. After enough of it, you start asking their questions before they do. You start doubting your own judgment before anyone else has a chance to. They've installed a voice in your mind that sounds like caution, but functions like a cage. And the most dangerous part is that voice starts to feel like your own. What's clever about this is that it hides behind the appearance of concern, but the effect of constant questioning isn't caution, it's paralysis. It chips away at your ability to trust yourself in situations where you would have moved forward without hesitation before. And by the time you notice what's happened, the doubt feels like it was always yours. Some of the most damaging behavior comes wrapped in things that look like normal interaction, things that are hard to name and even harder to confront. But patterns reveal themselves over time, and once you start seeing them clearly, you begin to understand that how someone consistently makes you feel is never an accident. Protecting yourself starts with recognizing what's happening, and recognizing it starts with being willing to trust what you feel, even when nothing obvious was ever said. If you found this helpful, like the video and subscribe to LifeBased for more insights about protecting yourself and understanding the patterns in your relationships. Thanks for watching.